Okay, so we're here at the Syracuse Film Festival's event at Mohegan Manor talking to people. Alec Baldwin is here, and tonight we have
Mary Duncan,
Joshua Montag,
Jamie Morgan,
Lisa,
and
Amy.
Joshua Montan. How do you feel about tonight's event?
Oh man, the energy is really high. The vibe is amazing, and it's also cool to see the one and only Alec Baldwin here in Baldwinsville. It's amazing.
awesome, so fun. A lot of people just coming together and loving on films and loving on Syracuse and loving on Alec Baldwin.
Lisa and Amy, you guys, did you just get your picture taken with Alec Baldwin?
We did.
How do you feel?
I've been wanting to meet him for years. He's like on my bucket list to meet, so I had to buy tickets tonight, and this was a dream come true for me.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal that he's actually from Syracuse, New York, because, you know, we're such a small area, and you know, he's very infamous, and him and his family, so it's pretty cool to be up there and meeting him and taking a picture with him, so.
It's great. It's very fancy. It's nice, and I just saw Alec Baldwin, so that's exciting.
How'd you hear about this?
My brother-in-law told me that this was happening, and so we bought VIP tickets to come and check it out.
My friend Michelle DiBernardo, she's also the president of the film festival, so she let me know about the dates of when this is going to happen, and since I heard that Baldwin's going to be here, I figured, hey, why not come out, you know?
Michelle DiBernardo. I'm pretty good friends with her, not to toot my own horn.
We were invited by Michelle because she made a movie up in my building in Watertown. So we're enjoying this, and this is the second one we came to. You know, we came to the last preview last year, but it looks like it's a good turnout. So.
It's very nice. Yeah, people are enjoying. I don't watch horror movie. No.
How was the movie that they filmed up in Watertown? Did that turn out okay?
Well, they did one last year, and it's been released. The one she did last month, it'll come out in August, I guess. So you'll have to wait and see how that one comes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's working on expanding the industry.
Have you worked on any films yourself?
I have, yes. I worked on some films with a company in Utica, New York called Mad Angel Films. And I worked with a nice man in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania named Mark Polonia on some films that you can catch on Tubi. If you type in on Tubi, if you type in Mark Polonia, you'll find a lot of his films on there, and I'm in more than a few.
As an actress?
As an actress, yes.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to get into the acting business?
Be careful on Craigslist, because I worked Craigslist a little bit. It's scary. Some situations are not legit and actually really scary. So I would actually say Facebook. Facebook is a pretty good revenue. I go to Syracuse Filmmakers, Actors, and More, and that's how I get a lot of stuff, some good stuff. And just knowing people, I meet people at events like this. This is great for networking. You really talk to people, and you'd be amazed who you get to know.
What would you say to a business owner in the area who's considering opening up their doors for a film set? What was one thing you learned being on set that you didn't know going into it?
You spend a lot of time there, because you do a shoot and then a reshoot, make sure you got it right. And so, I spent 8 to 10 hours there during the one night. So, but if you're a good actor and you get it through the first time, it's great. But I'm not an actor, but I had a quick fill in because somebody didn't show up, so I ended up being in the movie for 10 or 15 minutes. So it's interesting, but I'm the behind the scene guys that you need this, I'll figure out a way to get it or do it. So I stay in the background.
Would you say there was a lot more to filmmaking than you thought there was?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Utica, Syracuse, seeing all these networking events, how do you feel about the future of filmmaking in upstate New York?
I'm feeling really good about it. I feel like once people realize how great we are about filmmaking and the tax incentive, they'll want to bring their projects here. and little Central New York will become like Hollywood.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool that we have somebody who is as notorious as Alec Baldwin and his family, not only for acting, but they do really great things for the community. It's not just acting, but it's what they do for the people of Central New York that's most important. So I think a lot of people need to remember that as well.
All right, we're here with Assemblyman Al Sturpey. Al, what do you think of tonight's event?
Well, you know, it's a great event. I've been working with Michelle for the last several months, and some of the other people involved in the film industry in Central New York, trying to sort of coordinate all the different efforts we have here, trying to build a workforce that's big enough to really support multiple productions happening in the Central New York area at the same time. You know, New York State has done, I think, a really good job in helping promote the film industry with raising the amount of the tax credit to $725 million. We include not only below the line, but above the line costs that can apply for the tax credit. All we need now is more of a workforce here in this area so that productions can be shot here and they don't have to fly in people from all over. People, you know, other than maybe some of the actors and top-line producer and things like that, those people should be here in Syracuse working. And that's what we're really trying to do. That's why I'm here. And that's why I'm trying to promote all of these events like this so that people can understand that the film industry is really a good economic driver and can provide a lot to Central New York.
Well, our region has a lot of great film programs in the area, Ithaca College, SU, Oswego. What advice would you give to a student who's looking to break down in the industry as to why, you know, this would be a good place for them to stay as they make their mark instead of in Atlanta or in LA?
Well, the first thing is the cost of living obviously is a lot less here than it is if you go to New York or LA or some of those places. Secondly, I think there are a lot of opportunities. You have American High, which is situated right here in Central New York in Liverpool. They shoot, you know, a couple of movies a year. And we have the Film Hub. We have lots of training programs, either through WCNY, the CNY Film Professionals have a program. We've got, I think, everything from high school to college to the 25 to 39 age group, all those different programs for those different groups of people. And if you want to get involved in this industry, if you think it's something you really like, this is the place to go and try it out. You can get trained in various parts of the industry to find out which one you like the best, and then if there's anything is possible from that point on.
All right, that's been Al Sturpey, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Al. Yes. All right, we're here with Dennis, the owner of the Mohegan Manor, the host of tonight's event. Dennis, what do you think about tonight's event?
Great turnout. It was a wonderful end to a beautiful day outside. People have been, you know, meeting and greeting, and it's an interesting cross mix. It shows that we're not totally a partisan community because I think we're equally divided here.
How did the organizing of this come about?
Michelle just wanted a unique space for them, and something that was a little more intimate than a lot of like on-setters and other things like that. So, you know, we were happy to make the space available, as we do for a lot of organizations.
Well, Dennis, I know that you're a big fan and supporter of the arts. You know, Alex said that when I interviewed him, he'd like to see more tax credits, and I know some other actors here said that, you know, one of the things that they'd like to do is just keep going at it. What do you think needs to be done to increase film production here in Central New York?
Well, I think credits are always a good way to motivate. It's not like giving money away. But it's going to encourage. It's going to give me business. It's going to give all the other small restaurants and the micro businesses are all going to do that, whether it's janitorial, catering, you know, shuttles, limos, whatever.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, Dennis, and thanks for being a host.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you so much for coming out, and I hope you enjoyed being on camera and meeting Alec Baldwin.
I hope I get to meet Alec Baldwin. I have a 30 Rock bag that I want him to sign, so I hope that I get him to sign it. Say a little prayer.
We'll say a prayer. Thank you so much for your time. Say 30 Rock on 3. 1, 2, 3.
30 Rock!
And you do your audition, and when you were done, you'd leave, and they'd say, "Now he's not right for this part, but he's right for another movie we're doing." And those casting directors were casting multiple projects. So getting in the room with them and introducing yourself to them and making some impression on them was something that was far better in person than on tape. And because the tape thing is a little bit antiseptic, I think. And so what I tell people now is we got to get back to face-to-face casting. We got to get back to in-person casting because it's a crime. It's a crime not to do that. Now that COVID is, I mean, there's a little bit of a spike now, but now that COVID, as we understood it, is gone, or it's been kept at bay, we should get back to in-person casting.
I did. For starters, Mr. Baldwin, thank you for coming out here tonight. This is obviously your humble roots, Central New York. So seeing the growth of the film industry here in Central New York, what is your reaction to that, and how does that make you feel?
Well, I think that many places are trying to grow film production. And where it's booming, like in Atlanta, they're struggling in Los Angeles because there are a lot of people leaving LA. In New York, it's all about tax credits. And where the state of New York will give those tax, and the tax credits are finite. It's a pool of money, and people who are producing compete for that pool of money, and then it's gone. It's all distributed and spent. And so where you have that pool of money, that's a good thing. It creates. See, the thing about the movie business is it's not about hiring actors or making movies. It's about hiring crew. These are well-paying jobs for people in set design and electrical and drivers and everything you can imagine. So it's a good industry, good-paying jobs. So where the tax credits are working, that's a great thing. It's about jobs. So I'm always excited to see, Buffalo. I produced a movie we shot there. I love to shoot here. I can live with my sister for a while we're shooting.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, if you ever take the role in Hotel Syracuse, I send you the script for, you'll be here.
Absolutely.
Yes, please, Alec.
What else you got?
Given your experience and all that you've done in the industry over the years, acting, producing, you name it, what advice would you give to somebody who's starting out in the production industry to get to be the next Alec Baldwin?
That would be the most important thing. Well, I don't want anybody to do that, but you have to make it the most important thing. You have to have the time for it, like when you're young. And because what will happen is you could get a job in this business and start working and realize that it's not necessarily for you. A lot of people in the business decide that acting isn't what they want to do. They go into writing, directing, producing, developing scripts, editing, music, sound mixing, something else. Acting isn't for everybody. And acting is becoming more and more difficult to break through and to get in. So I always say, get in there and do everything. A student films at SU, a little play. Acting is something you have to explore. Acting is something you need to find out, do I even like it? You may not like it. You may not. So I tell people you got to immerse yourself early. And that way you can decide, do you want to live that life? Because it can be a very tough life. You get to do that much acting. And the rest of it, you think about it. Anything else?
That's it for me. Thank you so much. That's incredible.
And that red carpet was pretty special. This one is pretty special too, I have to say. It's not my first red carpet, but I'm really happy to be here because you know what? It's a beautiful crowd of people. And I just got back from Italy because I shot a film over there called Inspired Piacenza about all the unusual spots in that particular town. I met with a guy who is making violins. You don't meet a violin maker every day. No. You don't do that. And I went to the house of a comic book designer at his penthouse apartment. I made homemade spaghetti with these two ladies that had a duplex apartment. It was phenomenal. I was on the Po River where the Romans crossed. And they did that 1,000 years ago. So I've been like having a real celebration of life, I have to say. And this is certainly a celebration.
How does it feel to take all of those experiences from the Grammys to Italy to all over and see the celebration of art thrive here in central New York?
Well, first of all, you'd have to know that my personal career started in Buffalo, working at a place called Media Study with a fellow named Namjoon Paik, who's considered the father of video art. And video art, computer art, electronic art, this is what I consider the Bethlehem of the electronic era. People think of Silicon Valley, you know, everything's happening there, Apple, Adobe, blah, blah, blah. Those are corporations. This was grassroots, from people with great intelligent minds. So you have the Experimental Television Center in Binghamton, New York, and you have in RIT and schools here that develop electronic imaging. So this is like really a cultural hotbed for this kind of work.
You made my mind think there for a second. You talked about the importance of the individual mind.
Yeah.
Right now, the art industry is having a fierce debate between AI and human intelligence. What would you say to anybody who thinks that we need to go AI versus human intelligence?
I'm not interested in that whatsoever. And let me tell you something. When supposedly they dropped a $63 million NFT, that was a complete bogus lie. So, you know what? No. Art on a phone as a JPEG is not my idea of art. Art is to be experienced, to look at, to step back to. I was at the Everson Museum of Art this morning. I looked at real art, Morris Louis, big stuff there. They have young people. There was like a black women's conference there. It was culturally motivated about today and current events. That's what matters, not this other nonsense, superfluous stuff that's being blown up for the idea of commerce, making commerce out of nothing. Sorry, I don't prescribe to that. My digital art is very personal. It's about me. I put myself in the art. So during that time I created, during COVID, this is called Shishibo, Shape-Shifting Box, and it's in 3,100 Walmart stores. It's in 1,950 Target stores. It's in 500 Barnes & Noble and 38 independent specialty stores. So I'm going to the Toy Fair from here tomorrow morning to New York City at the Javits Center.
That's truly incredible. Well, thank you for all your contributions to the art industry.
Thank you, Lawrence Gartell. Just Google my name. That's all you have to see. You'll see a lot. Lawrence Gartell.
You heard it here first, folks. Lawrence Gartell.
When you talk about the devices and the development of technology, right now TV sets, if you have something less than 75 inches, it's nothing. So it's not the same as watching something on a cell phone or a small TV screen. Does the size of the image have a lot to do with what people are doing with their time?
I think everything's being produced now with the streaming nexus in mind. You know, Lorne Michaels had a joke with me once. He said two kids are standing there with an iPhone, and the kid says to the other kid, "What are you watching?" The kid says, "Lawrence of Arabia." On a cell phone. You don't watch Lawrence of Arabia on a cell phone. The biggest movie screen you can find. I mean, there are movies that were made. Movies that are classic films. One of the things that defines them is that they were made to be shown on a movie screen. You went to a theater and you sat down, you got your popcorn and your Raisinets, and you sat in real time. You didn't press pause, you didn't go to the bathroom, you didn't make a phone call, you didn't go walk the dog, you didn't wait for the bing bong, the Chinese food is delivered. You sat in a movie theater and you watched the movie the way the director intended you to watch the movie, in one sitting. 2 hours, 4 hours, The Godfather, whatever. And for those people today that don't want to do that, I mean, obviously they can stream whatever they want to stream, but I think that a lot of what's produced today is produced with the small device in mind. They're very tight on people, you know, like wide angles are disappearing. Shooting a scene in one is disappearing. We used to have like a master where everybody's behaving. Woody Allen does a lot of that. Woody Allen doesn't want to spend more than enough time. He doesn't have the time to really, or the money. He's given a very limited budget to make his films. So he likes to shoot wide. In fact, I will tell you a quick Woody story about working with Woody. One day,
we're shooting Blue Jasmine, and we're out in Quogue on Long Island, which is not out east in the Hamptons. It's almost, it's about 2/3 of the way out on the South Shore of Long Island. Beautiful, beautiful old community called Quogue, seaside community on the South Shore. And we're in this rented house. My character's Rich, and Kate Blanchett is my wife, and we're shooting at this house in Quogue. And the first assistant director was like the captain of the army, the captain of the troops. And the director's the captain, the colonel or whatever, the major, and the studio was the general, the Pentagon. And so we're there with Woody, and the guy, the first assistant director, Woody's not there, and we're gonna rehearse the scene. Bedroom, a bed, she's sitting on the bed, and I'm in the closet. There's a walk-in closet. And the guy says to me, "What do you want to do in the scene?" I go, "Well, she's gonna ask me that somebody caught me having lunch with a friend at a restaurant. She confronts me that I'm fooling around with her friend." And I said, "I want to be in the closet, but I don't want to come out." I'm like, I don't want, like, you know, shit, I don't want, are you okay? Okay. She's gonna question me about, like, "Oh, I heard you were with Nancy having lunch at the club." And I don't want to come out. I want to be like, you know, shit, I'm in the closet. Damn. And he goes, and the first day he goes, "Do you want to be in the closet?" I go, "Yeah, I'm gonna be in the closet." And she asks a couple questions, and then I'll come out reluctantly. He goes, "But you're in the closet." "Oh yeah, I'm in the closet." And she's asking the questions on the bed, and I'm in the closet. Then I come out. He goes, "But you're in the closet." So you're talking to her. She's on the bed, and you're in the closet, right? You're in the closet. I go, "Yes, yes, I'm in the closet." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Okay." Then he takes me aside. He goes, and we're in Quogue, and he goes, "Woody has tickets to the Knicks game tonight." And he's going to be on a helicopter at 5 o'clock, out back in the city. And I go, "I'm not in the closet. I'm on the bed with her. It's a oneer. Talk together. She cries. Talk. One shot, one single. A 2-shot of the two of us on the bed." The point being is that there's a way we used to make films or shoot films, and now it's completely changed because the target delivery system, the target media is a streaming media, so that everything's here, everything's coverage, not a lot of wide, not a lot of masters, not a lot of, you know, and that's just how, and again, technology dictating a lot of what happens to us. Now I want to ask you a question. I got questions for him. How has your business changed, teaching film? Who used to come study film with you in the early days, and how has the demographic changed of people who come to film school?
Well, I mean, the students are very different. You know.
How so?
It used to be that students would come to study film because they wanted to be artists, they wanted to try things out, they knew nothing about film. They didn't make films in high school because most high schools didn't have film equipment, and it was very different. Today, most of our students have high school film classes that they'll take and work in video, and they're coming to film because it's a romantic medium from their point of view, and they don't realize how many roads they can take in film, whether it's acting, directing, or writing, and cinematography are the big roles, obviously. But there are roles in production that aren't like that, and that they have a chance to discover what some of those may be, whether it's set design or whatever.
We talked about that before, which is the idea that people come into the movie business and they learn, hopefully quickly enough. They might not learn it right away, but they learn quickly enough that acting is not what they were meant to do.
Exactly.
It's too difficult. It's hard. It's stressful. It's humiliating. You have to have an abundance of patience and self-confidence and belief in yourself and so forth. And you see that attrition of people who decide, I want to direct, I want to produce, I want to write, I want to be a screenwriter, I want to be an editor, I want to be a sound mixer. They find some other job in the business to be on the periphery of that business. You know, they're not shooting films, they're not acting, but they realize that that wasn't what they were meant to do. You know, and I find that a lot of people today, we talked about this before, which is the I don't want to say crisis, but the issue of self-taping for submissions or casting. Now, self-taping and the issue with casting is that self-taping is great if you live in Syracuse, Oklahoma, even adjacent to LA, but you don't have time to drive from San Diego. You got 3 kids or whatever. Submitting self-tapes for casting purposes is great for those people who can't get in the room in LA or New York or Georgia, wherever the actual casting is being done. But we must try now that COVID is over. COVID, of course, facilitated the complete takeover of casting by self-taping, and in-person casting is kind of quaint now. And I remember in the beginning of my career, when we would go to casting halls, it was like this really powerful part of the business. Like you would sit in a chair. Like what motivated you and what got you like a little bit more like ready to get in there and give it, was that you were in chairs in a row with everybody in Manhattan who was your competition for that part. You're sitting in a chair and there's Kevin Bacon and this one and that one and this one and that one and this, and they're all in a row, all 20 of them. And they're all sitting there with the script in their hand, not talking to each other, or they look at you and be like, yeah, how you doing? Well, I think there's always going to be the desire for all types, and that is cop drama. Like, why are there so many cop shows? Why are there so many? Why in history have there been so many medical shows? Why have there been so many legal shows? Because the stakes are very high. You watch a medical drama, someone's going to die, and everybody can relate to the suffering that is attendant with that. Is the idea that people go to the hospital, they're going to die. People go to court, they're going to go to prison. Cops have to catch bad guys doing things and sometimes kill them. Those tableaus of drama will live forever. And the people, and a part of that was romance. People falling in love, people falling out of love, people whatever. And that's always going to live on. But what you have now is you have a strain of films in the Marvel DC universe, I think, that's really about people's displaced sentiments about justice. They don't feel that people who are bad are getting caught. They don't feel that people who are bad are getting dealt with. They think that people are getting away with a lot of shit in our society. This is my opinion, by the way. And they love to go to the movies where the bad guy gets it. That there's a hero, there's a very clear hero, and the hero, man or woman, solves the problem and sets the world aright. And that's what I think you see more now is what these comic book movies are, is a very kind of two-dimensional storyline. And but I'm trying to think of I guess the thing I saw, the thing that gets me all the time, I love great cinematography. To watch Lawrence of Arabia, to watch The Godfather, which I've said many times, as great as The Godfather is, The Godfather gets to me because The Godfather is literally because of all the kind of sepia tones and all the production design and costume design and the pace. The Godfather is literally like a painting that comes to life. It's like a painting. It's a work of art. Every frame is a work of art. And it's like a painting that starts to move and play out like a TV screen and starts to move. And all of it is rich and of one. It's all of a whole. Lawrence of Arabia. I mean, I could go on and on, but Citizen Kane I mentioned. I can go on and on with cinematography that speaks to me. Music score. It could be Maurice Jarre with Lawrence, and on and on. Bernard Herrmann, Vertigo, and Hitchcock alone is just a whole category. It's a whole. That's a whole wing of the building. But the point is that the thing that always, as an actor, that I come back to. I mean, I absorb all that other stuff that I love, the writing, a great line, great scenes, so forth. But what really always I come back to is the acting. And to see Jane Fonda in Clute, to see The Godfather and all that cast of The Godfather, to see a performance, like people always say, what's your favorite performance? It's not my favorite, but it always comes to mind was Duvall playing Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. Because he shatters you, he breaks your heart, he doesn't have one line. Doesn't have one line, not one. And yet just his persona and the way he embodied that role, you saw in that part of the movie because it's so powerful, And so the acting to me is always, Tony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs and things like that. Very intimidating and very, very tough material. But I always come back to the acting and think that, and you still have it. I watched White Lotus. And I didn't watch White Lotus. I didn't watch it. Not as good as Boss Baby, but I watched that. But what is? But we watched White Lotus. I watched season 2 of White Lotus, and I watched Jennifer Coolidge, and she's on the boat, and she knows what's going to happen. She knows they've got a lot of bad ideas, and I'm watching her acting. Now, Jennifer Coolidge is one of the greatest actresses in the business right now. One of the greatest. And she does that scene on the boat, and she knows that bad things are coming, and she didn't put the pieces together in time. She's on the boat with all these horrible people, and although that cast, Tom Hollander, the British guy who played there, oh my God, they're all fabulous. Watch season 2 of White Lotus just to get to the end, and you watch Jennifer Coolidge and you go, this woman is a great actress. She just blows you away with so many emotions at the same time when she figures out what's going to happen. It's crazy. And I always come back to it's acting is the thing I'm the most attracted to. I was only there for 2.5 days, but all these, and with Woody, and working with Woody, Marty, and all those guys. It's like, it's not, even though I have small roles in Marty's films, like, what an honor to be with him. So,
yeah. How is it working with Scorsese?
Well, Marty's somebody who he makes a range of films. He did After Hours, and he did King of Comedy, and he did Michelle Pfeiffer and Daniel Day-Lewis. Age of Innocence, yeah, Age of Innocence. I mean, Marty's career is very varied. What Marty is known for most and won an Oscar for are very violent crime dramas. So when we do scenes in the movie, Marty came up to me and he goes, that guy right there, that guy right there, that guy. He fucked up, right? That guy right there, he fucked up, right? I go, yeah. So you're mad? You make you mad? You're mad, right? Are you mad? Make you mad? I go, yeah, he made me mad. He goes, how mad? How mad are you? That guy, he fucked up, you're mad. He fucked up, you're mad. How mad are you? He fucked up, you're mad at him. How mad at him are you? How mad? I go, I'm really mad. You're mad? I go, I'm so fucking mad. He goes, you're so fucking mad. He goes, you're so fucking mad. He goes, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I go, he goes, you wanna go beat the shit out of him? I go, I wanna beat the shit out of him. He goes, let's do that. And he made it up. It wasn't in the script. And he goes, because we had time. See, if we didn't have time, we wouldn't do it. When I did The Aviator, and when Leo was playing Hughes, he knew that we had to get my stuff done because he wanted to get into the room with Leo naked, with the milk bottle, bringing the milk, Louis, Hughes melting down. So he wanted to get my stuff politely, 4 or 5 takes, let's get it done, concisely. And then he wanted to move it to the other room because Leo's the bread and butter, he's the star. And they want to luxuriate and have a lot of takes because Leo's exploring and is doing his thing. So we do The Aviator. My takes were very simple. It was all like I knew what I had to do, get it over with and move on. Then we go do The Departed in that scene, and they had time. So he goes, let's do that. So I walk up to the guy and I go, you didn't put the camera in that room? You didn't put the camera in that room? What, I thought we didn't put the camera in. So I go, could I ask you a question? Could you come over here and take him near a wall? And I go, you motherfucker! Grab the guy, throw him. I bounce him against the wall, and I'm going to beat the shit out of him. Now the wall is not braced. So the wall of the set where he goes, boy. And Marty goes, fix the wall. We're going to do it again. And they fix the wall. And I go and beat the shit out of this guy by throwing these punches, staking him, and he's on the ground, and these guys grab me off him. And I go, I'm good, I'm fine. And they let me go, and I go, you mother, and I stop him again while he's down. And all the time we're filming. Yeah, sure. And in the video village over there on the other side of the wall, you hear Marty going, He thinks it's the funniest thing he's seen in his life. Because he loves crazy, he loves men who the stakes are high. Whether you're a criminal, you're a cop, you're a detective, you're a fed, it doesn't matter. The stakes are high. If we don't get this, we're So that's what he was always saying to me, which was like, there's no good guys or bad guys. The people doing what they got to do, and they got to commit. And every time you do a movie, it's like when you play any part, you play parts that you don't like the person. You can't really dwell on that. You have a job to do. When I did Glengarry, I was yelling at these guys. I loved them. They're the greatest actors, some of them in my generation. To do a movie finally with Jack Lemmon. Do you know how much Jack Lemmon means to me? And I had to say all these horrible things to him. It was really depressing. It was really depressing. But Jamie Foley, the director, was like, "You got a job to do. Let's go." And I got in there. I was like, "Let's go." And I gave it to him everything I had. But when it was over, I'm like hugging Jack. I think I cried with Jack. I was like, "Oh my God, I wish I could." And Jack Lemmon was funny. Jack Lemmon is funny. He hugged me and he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. It was great. It was great." He goes, "You really are a fucking asshole." I'm not really, no. And he laughed with that. But he knows that it's like to play, one of the most challenging things about acting is to play somebody that you don't really like. You gotta play Hitler. You gotta play Hitler. You gotta give him the best Hitler you got. I mean, that's your job. Because you want to see, obviously, you want to see Hitler die, and people will cheer that Hitler dies. But the point is that that's the tough part when you play somebody where it might be a good part, it might be an important contribution to the film, but you don't necessarily like the guy.
But of course, you're, as an actor, that's your role, is to play parts that you don't relate to. You don't relate to the character.
Well, I want to ask you a question, which is, how have actors, we don't have much time left, how have actors who are stars, because obviously, and I'm going to make a comment about this in a minute, there are actors who were stars in the silent era, we start talkies, the wartime period, Depression, wartime, post-war, things get very complicated after World War II. Red Scare, communism, HUAC, the 60s, the anti-heroic period of the 60s. Easy Rider comes and puts a whole section of the business out of business. Remember, if we do, that right before Easy Rider came, the studios were releasing Paint Your Wagon and Finian's Rainbow and all these gooey musicals of the old school, which all died. And Easy Rider comes and just changes everything. Everything becomes more anti-heroic. And what I want to see you is, how have movie stars changed in your observation?
Well, I'm not an actor, and I'm not a movie star person, except for somebody like you. No, I think that what's changed is whether it's a profession for you or not. For how many actors is it a profession? How many actors are doing it because they really love taking on all these roles, including roles of characters they don't like. So I'm not sure that it's changed that much. Of course, these talkie films have changed, acting from the way it was in the so-called silent era. But I think that you were at Actors Studio, right? So what did Actors Studio do to change acting for cinema? Because it did a great deal. So I think that the Actors Studio and the movement toward acting that they created, there you go. There you go.
Honey, I want you to know that you've done it again. Remember when you called me on my phone during the Tribeca Film Festival? This is my wife, Laura. Say hi to me. You've done it again, honey. Carmen, are you mommy? Carmen, say hi. This is my daughter, Carmen, everybody. Carmen, I'm here at the film festival, sweetie. I gotta go. Where are you guys going? To the dinner? Sistina? Okay, Daddy loves Mommy, Daddy loves Carmen. But I have, I love you, Boogie. I'll call you when I'm done. Love you, love you. I'm jealous. Bye. I did the Tribeca Film Festival and I interviewed Del Toro, Guillermo del Toro. And my wife called me in the middle of the goddamn movie. And I asked super fun. My wife said hello to everybody.
Well, she must know your schedule.
She should.
Yeah.
But the thing is about acting is everybody knows the studio brought realism purportedly to acting, where before that there was a lot of indicating, and people who were good indicators. You know, Joan Crawford was a great indicating actress. You know, she certainly wasn't going to put herself through a lot of misery, and that method acting and most acting that's taught in the United States today has some strand of method acting in it, even though they might pretend otherwise. And people who are pure method actors, we don't really have a lot of time for that anymore in this business. But you go from silent films where people had to look a certain way, they had to be pretty, strong looking. Ricky Roma is widely regarded as a star of Glengarry Glen Ross. If there is a star, it's an ensemble, but Ricky Roma is the most shiny role. And Al played Ricky Roma in the movie, but Al played the Levine part, the Jack Lemmon part of the movie. He played the Levine role in the revival with Cannavale. Cannavale played Roma. But because of Al's wattage as a star, as a great actor, they did Glengarry Glen Ross, and this is the first time that Levine was the star of Glengarry Glen Ross, because it was Al. I mean, Al shows up on Broadway, and the ticket price is a scalping $1,000, $1,500 just to see Al live. I've been there. I saw Glengarry. I saw China Doll, the weird thing he did with Mammoth. I've seen Al on stage a few times, and it's just. You know, there's just nothing. I'll never forget all my memories. I mean, I have abundant memories of movies and movie performances that have moved me and haunted me and delighted me. But just as many roles in the theater. I saw King Lear at the Donmar Warehouse with Derek Jacobi. And Jacobi is as far away from me as you were. He came downstage. I saw Chris Plummer do Inherit the Wind and Lear and Barrymore. I love Chris as a friend. You know, there's people in the theater who just as indelible as film. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I think that's actually an important subject to talk about. That right now, you know, a lot of students who are studying film are also studying drama, and to have a relationship between the theater and the cinema has changed quite a bit. And I think that there are more people who are crossover quite readily.
Well, the other thing is that legit drama on Broadway is tough. You know?
Yeah.
They want musicals, and they want things that are fun and kooky and Kinky Boots and Aladdin and all sorts of things for kids. And straight drama, legit drama in the theater is tough.
Yeah.
And when somebody rolls out a production with a great cast, a great revival, most of them are revivals, and they bring out people to do classic plays by Miller and Williams and O'Neill and Shaw and so forth, you get a good cast. They might rake up all the Tonys for drama. You know, like it's kind of a good thing for them because they don't have a lot of competition. There aren't a lot of great straight plays being done on Broadway. Not enough, I think. But.
Well, it's the same with film, right? I mean, who goes to those movie theaters now to see movies?
Marvel films, yeah.
Yeah, Marvel, Marvel, DC, Marvel.
And they make money because those kids are repeat customers. They see those movies 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. It's hard to get dramas, even comedies, into most theaters unless you have a niche audience. You know, if you're making a horror movie or if you're making a comedy with
a lot of slasher films, horror films are there. And when the same thing now that we talked about in the theater when you roll out a drama. Look at Killers of the Flower Moon, Marty's movie with Leo is coming, and everybody's like twitching. I mean, how many people you would have thought that people in the American film audience would have been like convulsing to go see a movie about Robert Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
And yet everybody that I knew was so starved for that kind of content, and historical drama, and the movie's 3 hours long. I mean, when they told me that Oppenheimer was coming, regardless of the cast, regardless of the director, I thought, good luck, fellas. You know, it was going to do okay, but it wasn't going to do great. My God, they printed money. They did it really, really great. And everybody says the same thing about Marty's movie because everybody's just like starving for that kind of content on a big screen.
Yeah. I'll give you another question. What's that?
Boss Baby. Can I just say one thing? I love you, by the way. I love you. And I want you to know, people ask me all the time, what's the greatest movie you ever made? Boss Baby is the greatest. Don't you look at me that way. Boss Baby is the greatest movie I've ever made, ever.
See, that's interesting because one of the questions.
I'm not kidding.
One of the questions that I have here in the card is, what would you tell people who have never seen anything of yours? They only have a chance to see one.
Boss Baby. No, but when you asked about Osborne, I want to get back to that. Osborne was a dear friend of mine. We go to the essentials, and we'd show, and I would prep for it, and then I come and we do the show, and we do the show the first season, and Bob has a dance of producers and fact checkers there. There's like about 10 or 12 people there, and we're on the set, and when we're done, they go, "That's it, Bob, it's a wrap." And Bob would go, "This was so much fun with Alec. Isn't he great? Let's have him come back next year." And they were like, "Okay, Bob." Because they wanted to have like to mix it up and have different stars come on. So I come back the second year. And we finished, and I had a great time. I worshiped Bob. I loved him. He was the greatest guy you've ever met in your life. And I go, and I love old films. And Bob was so happy with what I said. But I prepped a lot. I mean, we were talking about Toland and all that. I mean, I really came in loaded with notes and to have questions and comments. And we finished the second season. We shoot for a whole week down at Turner in Atlanta. And we're done with Bob. We're like, "God, this was more fun than the last time. Let's have Alec come back again next year." And all the producers were like, "Okay, Bob. Sure. We'll have Alec come back again next year." I come back the third year. Same thing. I mean, before you open stuff, I'm like, "No, Bob, no." Like he was going to say, "Let's bring Alec back again for a fourth year." And they jumped in. Like, "No, Bob, Alec's not coming back. He's not coming back." But I had more fun with him. Because not everything you do is performing. You can do other things, I guess, teach or whatever. But there was nothing in this business that was more fun
than that.
Than to sit and talk about movies with Bob Osborne. He was the sweetest man. When he died, I was heartbroken.
Okay, I have a question here about your podcast, which is, how do you pick your guests for your podcast? How do you decide who you're going to have?
Well, I guess it was like when I was dating in New York in the 80s, just whoever said yes.
But there's no podcast.
I wasn't very picky when I was young. I always say that to people when they talk about how you modify your acting tastes and your acting career, what you do and don't do. I said, acting is a lot like sex. I said, when I was younger, I would do it with anybody. Thank you. I said, when I was younger, I would do it with anybody. The older you get, the more discerning you get, and the more kind of picky you get. And but the thing is that my podcast was something I started years ago, 11, 12 years ago, and now we have over 350 episodes as I can. We've had everybody from Streisand to Barry Gibb. We've got a lot of music people, a lot of heavy music people, because we love to thread the music into the show or the production. And it's been my chance to kind of explore, if I read something in a magazine or the newspaper that I think I would like to have my spin on that. So, for example, I'm reading the New Yorker magazine is often a mine for us that we dig into, and Nick Niarchos, whose grandfather was Stavros Niarchos, the great shipping magnate. Nick grew up in London. He's from a preposterously wealthy family. And he's a very serious essayist and writer, Nicholas Niarchos. And he was writing an article in the New Yorker about cobalt mining in Africa, and how they're mining all these precious metals for the technological industries. And because the government has said that all the ore in the ground and all the cobalt in the ground belongs to the government, they prohibited people from working anywhere other than government-supervised mines. Now, some of that might be privatized, but the government's in charge of measuring all the product and blah, blah, blah. And what they were saying was that people who live in this town that he went to cut holes in the floor of their house. Some of them have a false door, a false floor in their house, like the vinyl of their kitchen. The linoleum, rather, of their kitchen. And they cut a hole in there and they start tunneling down under the house and taking bags, like cloth sacks of cobalt, and then they go to a location in the dead of night and sell them to a buyer, a vendor. I'm reading this and I'm going, my God. These people are digging a hole in their kitchen to go mining for cobalt and taking little bags of it that they can carry to the place to make money. So I called up Nikki, came and did my show. So I'm always reading. We just did one with Andrea Crosta, who was also in the New Yorker magazine. Crosta runs an organization that's one of the biggest anti-trafficking of animal parts. He's fighting rhino horn and all that stuff that they're bringing to China for herbal medicines. He's fighting, all kinds of abuse and elephants, killing elephants for their tusks and things like that. So Andrea Crosta, who's Italian, he lives in Los Angeles. I read about him. He just did the show. So if it's somebody famous, an artist, a performer, a writer, a photographer, we just did Brian Hamill, the famous Brian Hamill, was one of the most famous movie set photographers of all time. He shot all of Woody's movies. He shot all of Marty. I go not just for famous names, but we go for people who are government officials, people who can talk about a policy, and we bring them onto the show. It's been really, really a very wonderful learning experience for me as well.
So that connects to a question that I have for you, which, I love music, and we listen to the Philharmonic when it's on radio, and go to concerts. How did you get involved with the Philharmonic? How did that happen?
Well, I think that I was in a car. I've told the story a million times. I was in a car in LA, and music, contemporary music stopped to speak to me, stopped talking to me. I put the radio on one day, because in LA, when I was first auditioning and I was driving around LA to get started in the business and introduce myself to Jane and Janet and so forth, as you recall, the issue was that you're in a car for like 4 or 5 hours. You have no control. You're up at Warner Brothers, and you're down at Sony, then you're back over to Disney, then you're over, you're all over the place. You're at Paramount. You drive in your car to go to 3 or 4 auditions each day, and you're in your car for like all day long. So I have the radio on, and I couldn't hear another song which was like, I love you, baby, I love you, baby, oh baby, I love you, okay, stop loving me, why do you still love me, I'm so sick of you loving me, and all this pablum and all this puerile nonsense that is contemporary music. And one day I turn on the radio and I'm driving and I put on George Schulte conducting the Chicago Symphony Orchestra doing the Mahler Ninth. And that was back in the day before the internet, believe it or not. Which is very real, which is I had a car phone, the old car phone. Didn't have any telephone. You had a car with an antenna on the roof, it was in your car. You made phone calls in your car. And I called up the programming office of the classical station in Los Angeles, and there was somebody who picked up the phone. It didn't go into voicemail like it goes now. There was somebody there. And now everybody wants you to email them. So email me your question. So I would go and I would call up the station and I said, what is this piece that's playing right now? Because I'm about to pull into Warner Brothers and go to an audition. They said, well, this is the Mahler Fourth, George Zell, the Cleveland, and Judith Raskin is the soloist. And I'd write all this down on a pad. Go to Tower Music on Sunset Boulevard. I think everybody knows how they got a Tower.
Yeah.
And then Tower Classical was like a diagonal across the street on Sunset Boulevard. And you go in there, you order your CDs. And they would tell you come back in 2 weeks and pick them up. And you drive there and pick them up. And I started to collect CDs of classical music. And eventually, I only listened to classical music. I almost never listened to any popular music again. Some jazz, there's a lot of jazz sometimes. But I became obsessed with classical music. I became obsessed with that world and going into that world. To think that those people, someone wrote that. And when you go to the symphony and watch 100 people. And one thing I'm always enamored of, because acting can be tricky in terms of people's selfishness. Now, great actors realize we're all hopefully doing the same thing together. And sometimes there are those who don't. Sometimes there are those who are like, well, I'm going to go off-roading, I'm going to go do this. And they're very, very kind of self-seeking that way. And thankfully I haven't had a lot of that, but I've had some. I've had some actors who I worked with who were really, it was appalling how much they were like going to do their own thing, and they didn't give a shit what you were going to do. And when you're in the symphony, everybody's doing the same thing at the same time. It's 100 people on stage, and they're all reading the same music, and they're all in service of that composer's piece. And I love that. I love that collaboration. And I love it when we have it in the theater, especially because I've done shows in the theater where when we got the timing down and we did it, it was really great. It was really thrilling. I've done comedies where, we were just, I had to keep myself from laughing at how good they were, like watching them, And I did a play with this guy, Joe Mahar, and we did the first play I did on Broadway. It was Loot, the Joe Orton play. Now, Orton was an anarchist. Orton wrote all these filthy, horrible plays, wonderful plays, I should say, but horribly filthy, I should say, that were set in London in the 60s. Orton was a man who was commissioned to write the next Beatles film when he was murdered by his boyfriend. And Gary Oldman played him in the movie about his life. There was a book that was written by John Lahr, the great New Yorker magazine theater critic. John Lahr, the critic, is the son of Burt Lahr, who played the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. So Burt Lahr, who was a great New York actor, Broadway, Burt Lahr, go, like a lot of New York actors, go out to LA, make a few bucks, make a movie, come home, back on stage. The theater. He lived in New York and he worked on stage. So his son John Lahr is a great writer and a famous critic for the New Yorker magazine. And John wrote this book called Prick Up Your Ears, which was about Joe Orton's life. He wrote the book, and they made it into a movie. And Gary Oldman played Orton, and Fred Molina played his Hallowell, his boyfriend, who killed him with a hammer and murdered him because he was very jealous of him becoming famous and rich. And we did the play Loot on Broadway. Kevin Bacon had done it at the Manhattan Theater Club. They moved it to Broadway. Kevin couldn't come because he had to go do a movie. They hired me to replace Kevin. And Joe Mahar, who was this English actor, he was born in Ireland, but he was essentially a British stage actor, Joe Mahar, who was probably one of the 2 or 3 funniest men I've ever met in my life, ever. There was nobody like him. And there's a scene where he brandishes this book. He says, you have before you a man who is quite a personage in his way, Truscott of the Yard. And he opens up this book. Now, Joe would go and get male porno magazines. And he would cut pictures of naked men in all their glory and paste them into the book. So while we're doing the play, he'd say, because Željko Ivanic, who played the other guy, his line was, Željko Ivanic, who was doing the play with me, he played my sidekick, I played his sidekick, his line was, it's you. So he takes the book and he goes, you have before you a man who is quite a personage in his way, Truscott of the Yard. And Željko and I would go, and he'd be this guy that was just like, it was like unimaginable. And Joe would go, it's you! Like, we couldn't believe the tricks this guy would play on us, the stuff he'd do. I'm Broadway. We're on Broadway, and he would just like mess with us all the time. And when we did Loot, it was my first show on Broadway. Peggy Peterson was the stage manager. She's at her box, her podium. She's calling the show. Headsets, lights to 1, lights to 4, sound to 6, do this. She's the stage manager. She's directing the lighting and the sound cues for the show, the production. She's at a podium with a set of notes and things, and all the technical people are listening to her through a headset. And I stood with Peggy Peterson every night until I had to go do a costume change and watched them do the show. I watched Joe do the show because I just had never seen people like that in my life who were that talented, you know what I mean? And like many people, I'll finish with this, like many people, I can remember vividly what I did 45 years ago, 40 years ago. I can't remember the last 9 movies I've done. It's all a blur to me now.
That's good.
I remember the beginning really vividly.
I don't remember anything anyway. So,
I'm Alec, by the way.
They wanted to give you something, so.
You gotta decide which movie you're gonna watch.
Yeah, we got Sour Patch, Caramel, I don't know. And this is from our board. I hope you can open that and appreciate it, please. But wait, open it up, please, Alec. You have no idea what the Baldwin family and the Shapiro family means to me. Jonathan Baldwin and Lauren Bullock, they were honored. They were honorable mention yesterday with Tough Love.
Saying something?
Inside.
Yeah, open inside, please. It's got a little engraved thing from us. And we hope you use this.
Where is that?
You gotta show them.
It says something about Syracuse International Film Festival on the inside.
Let's get that. Hold on.
Yes, get beautiful pictures. We appreciate you so much here in Syracuse. The Baldwin family has done so much here in the community, and we so appreciate Beth and Carol Baldwin, and rest in peace, please. Very, very special in this community. We have Rob Swartz here with ACX1 Studios. He just opened a beautiful sound stage here, and he'd like to honor Alec. So let's do it.
Thank you, thank you. In honor of Alec Baldwin from the ACX Studios for his contribution to the art from Atlantic City, New Jersey, this is for you for Lifetime Achievement. You're the first one we've given this to since we just moved in our building, and we really appreciate you and everything you've done for the entertainment world.
Thank you.
Thank you.